One of the first people I approached was Nikhil sir. I knew him from post graduation. He was my classmate there.
ಅಂಡ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ರೈಟ್ ಗೈಡೆನ್ಸ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಲ್ಲೂ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋರು ತುಂಬಾ ಜನ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಿಂದ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಅದರಿಂದ ನಾನು ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಉಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ನಾನು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ.
Whether it becomes difficult or not, it's not in our hands, not in our control. So I think we should do what's in our control, like practice rigorously, face the toughest papers before some 10-15 CSAT papers to face.
And mains is a rigorous thing. 2 weeks of continuous writing. So we'll have on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and next Saturday, Sunday. So 2 weeks of continuous ನಾವು good enthusiastic mode ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. These are the two in terms of aptitude develop ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು, skill develop ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು.
Whether it becomes difficult or not, it's not in our hands, not in our control. So I think we should do what's in our control, like practice rigorously, face the toughest papers before some 10-15 CSAT papers to face.
India for IAS is an academy, consistent support, consistent enthusiasm. ನಾನು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಫೇಲ್ ಆದಾಗ ಕೂಡ to help me to have the same mindset. Thanks to Srinivas sir, Nikhil sir, and also Sandeep sir, and also to you Prashant sir. And for mock interview, Thejas sir led panel. I had attended it last year. It was very enriching, and also I realized what the real interview looks like, because there were former UPSC panel members were also there in the mock interview. So I would be really grateful for that to Thejas sir and also to Srinivas sir for the opportunity.
Interaction and one-on-one mock session with Kedar sir really helped a lot in changing my mindset and approach towards the interview this day.
ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಬಾರಿ ನಾವು ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಸಾಧಕರನ್ನ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಸಿದಿದೆ, ಅವರ ಜರ್ನಿನ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಿದೆ, ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರ ಅವರ ಪಯಣ ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು, ಅವರ ಸಾಹಸ ಗಾಥೆ ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು ಅನ್ನೋ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ. ಈ ಬಾರಿ ಒಂದು ವಿನೂತನ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಇಬ್ಬರು ಸಾಧಕರು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇಬ್ಬರು ಸಾಧಕರಿಂದ ಈ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನ ಪಯಣ ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು, ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು, UPSC ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅವ್ರು ಚೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಹಂತದಲ್ಲೂ ಅವರು ಸವೆಸಿದ ದಾರಿ ಹೇಗೆ, ವಾಟ್ ವೇರ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರಗಲ್ಸ್ ಟು ದಿಸ್ ಜರ್ನಿ, ಅಂಡ್ ಟು ಈಚ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಜರ್ನಿ ಈಚ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಐಡಿಯಾ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ದ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಇಸ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್. Each one can have their own story. Each one can have their own path to do it. So this is something that we try to do. It's a unique experiment from our side. Hope all of you would enjoy this. Welcoming Rakshit and Thejas once again. Congratulations to both of you on your success, and Thejas for their recent success on forest service also.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So, congratulations to both of you once again. The idea is that we would want to know your journey through the civil services. We all understand civil services is one of the most dreamt about exam. More than 10 lakh people write this exam as such. But when you both made this choice of civil services, how aware of you were both of you individually that about the exam? What was your awareness to start with? Probably to Thejas to start with.
ನಾನು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ I'd done my research, like what are required, ಏನೇನಿದೆ, ಏನು ಓದಬೇಕು. I started doing my research back in my post graduation. Not started studying, but I'd done the background research for like what needs to be done and all. So I think I was pretty aware of what all is required for the exam.
So that was in post graduation.
Yes.
Okay. So Rakshit, when did this idea come in?
So it was after my startup thing that I had thought about in depth about UPSC. But initially I had an idea that it would have prelims, mains and interview, but I didn't have much idea about the subject. So I took some time to be aware of the subjects. And also sir, nange optional ide anta gottagidde almost 6 to 7 months. It took some time to understand. So over the time, around 6 to 7 months alli, I really understood about the exam.
So when you first saw through the process and say ee tara ide ishtu odbeku anta antaga ಏನು ಅನ್ಸು, ಇದಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದಿದೆಯಾ ಹೀಗ, ವಾಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ದಟ್ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್?
ಸರ್ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಏನನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಮಾಡಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಿ ದೇ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದಿ ಸನ್ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸ್ತು. ಸೊ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ತುಂಬಾ ವಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಎ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮ್, ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಅವರ್ಸ್ ಓದಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದೊಂದು ಐಡಿಯಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಬಟ್ ಓವರ್ ದಿ ಟೈಮ್ ಆ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ನ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ನ ನೋಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಓಕೆ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಒಂದು ಸೆಟ್ ಐಡಿಯಾಸ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ರಿವಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಐಡಿಯಾ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಲೇಟರ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಸೊ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ವಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸ್ತು, ತುಂಬಾ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಓದ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಾನು ಅನ್ಸ್ತು. ಬಟ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಇತ್ತು.
ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ನೀವು ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ವಾಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ದಿ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್, ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಗ್ರಾಜುಯೇಷನ್ ನಂತರ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಟೈಮ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ 3 ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಇದೆ, 1 ವರ್ಷ 2 ವರ್ಷ ಭಯ ಆಗಿದಾಗಲಿ, ವಾಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ದಟ್ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್?
Like when I started, I knew that I need to give two years ಅಂತ minimum ಕೊಡ್ಲೇಬೇಕು ನಾನು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿತ್ತು, because the whole interview process to get over it will take 2 years. My approach was okay, syllabus ಇದೆ, okay, this is all, and there is current affairs that needs to, like how do I approach this systematically? Okay, ನಾನು ಯಾವ ಬುಕ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಓದಬೇಕು, ಓಕೆ ನನಗೆ ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನ್ ತಗೊಳಕ್ಕೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳೆದೋಗೋ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ. ವಾಟ್ ಡು ಐ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದ ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನ್, ಫ್ರೇಮ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಹಾಕೊಳೋದು. I went to the how to do this approach only. I went to that approach.
Okay, wonderful. ಈಗ both of you have made the decision that you will take up civil services, ಓದ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ವಾಟ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದರೆ, ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲಿ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬೋತ್ ಆಫ್ ಯು have ಕಮ್ ಅರ್ಬನ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಅಂದರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹಳ್ಳಿಯಿಂದ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ನೀವು ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಮುಗಿಸಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ನೀವು ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಗ್ರಾಜುಯೇಷನ್ ಮುಗಿಸಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಆ ಸ್ಟೇಜಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾಗ ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್, ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ, ಹೌ ಈ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ who are the first people you approached to get idea about this, and how did you make those decisions?
ಸರ್ ನಂದು ಬಂದು ಇನಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಅವಾಗ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಈಗ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 2-3 years ಇಂದ ಡಿಜಿಟಲಿ UPSC ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವೇರ್ ಆಗೋಷ್ಟು ಒಂದು 4 years ಮುಂಚೆ ಇರ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ನನಗೆ ಈ ಪೇಪರ್ ಅಡ್ವರ್ಟೈಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಸ್ ಸೆಷನ್ಸ್ ತಗೋತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದು ನಾನು ಒಂದು 2-3 ಸೆಷನ್ಸ್ನ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ. ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಕಾಮನಾಲಿಟಿ ಏನಂತೂ ಏನ್ ನನ್ಗನ್ಸಿದ್ದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಒಂದು ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಇರ್ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಫ್ ವೇರ್ ಯು ಗೋ ಆರ್ ವಿಚ್ ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ಯು ಟೇಕ್. ಸೊ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ನನ್ಗನ್ಸಿದ್ದು. ಬಟ್ ಒಂದು ರೈಟ್ ಗೈಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನನ್ಗೆ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಅನ್ಸಿತ್ತು. ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನನ್ಗೆ ಏನ್ ಅನ್ಸಿದ್ರೆ, ರೈಟ್ ಗೈಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬುಕ್ ಯಾವ ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಓದಬೇಕು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ರೈಟ್ ಗೈಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ನನ್ಗೆ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಅನ್ಸಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟು ಕೂಡ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇವಾಗ ಡಿಜಿಟಲಿ ಅವೇರ್ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಕೆಲವು ಸತಿ ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ಇಲ್ದೇನು ಪೀಪಲ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಅವೇರ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದಿ ರೈಟ್ ಗೈಡೆನ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಟು ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ.
Okay, so who were the first people you approached and how did you make that decision?
One of the first people I approached was Nikhil sir. I knew him from post graduation, so he was my classmate there. So he guided me to what all is required anta. And because of my background research ಮಾಡಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಅಂತ, ಎನಿವೇ ದ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಇಸ್ ಇಂಡಿಸ್ಪೆನ್ಸಿಬಲ್ ಟು ದ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸ್, ಓದಲೇಬೇಕಾದ ಸ್ಟಡಿನ. ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ಐ ವೆಂಟ್ ಥ್ರೂ ದಟ್, ಓಕೆ ಎನಿವೇ ನಾನು ಓದಬೇಕು, ಓಕೆ ನಾನು ಓದ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ನಂಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಐ ನೀಡ್ ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ಪರ್ ಸೆ, ಬಟ್ PSIR ವಾಸ್ ಐ ಡಿಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎನಿ ಮಚ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೂಯೆನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಫಾರ್ ದಟ್ ಐ ಟುಕ್ ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ನಿಖಿಲ್ ಸರ್. ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಟ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ದ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ದಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಸರ್.
So both of you have started preparation around in 2020-21 ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತಂದು ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಅಂದಾಗ ಡೆಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು, ಹೈದರಾಬಾದ್ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು, ಈ ಒಂದು ನೋಷನ್ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಜನನಿತವಾಗಿದೆ. ಬಟ್ ವೆರಿ ಯುನೀಕ್ಲಿ ಬೋತ್ ಆಫ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡಿಸೈಡೆಡ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಪ್ರಿಪರೇಷನ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ಲಿ ರಕ್ಷಿತ್, ನೀವು ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅಟೆಂಡೆಡ್ ಸಮ್ ಸೆಷನ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಯು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಆನ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಪ್ರಿಪರೇಷನ್. ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಡೆಲ್ಲಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್, ಆ ಒಂದು ಐಡಿಯಾ ಹೇಗೆ ಡೀಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ?
ಸರ್ ನನಗೆ ಏನನ್ಸಿದ್ದು ಅಂದರೆ, ಇರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಯು ಆರ್, ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ದ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್. ಇಫ್ ಯು ರಿಯಲಿ ಆರ್ ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್, ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಸಮ್ಹೌ ಫೈಂಡ್ ದ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್, ವೆದರ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ Bangalore or where in any other rural part, or whether we are in Delhi, we will just definitely find the resources. If we are not interested, even though if we are in Delhi, we will find it difficult to find the real resources. So idondu vague idea ನನಗೆ ಇತ್ತು. And Delhi again, it was change of place for me, which I knew that I would take some time to get adjusted. So ನನಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಟೈಮ್ ಕೊಡೋಕೆ ನನಗೆ ಏನು ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ರೈಟ್ ಗೈಡೆನ್ಸ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಲ್ಲೂ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಮತ್ತೆ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋರು ತುಂಬಾ ಜನ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಿಂದ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಅದರಿಂದ ನಾನು ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಉಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ನಾನು ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ.
ಓಕೆ, ನೀವು ಡೆಲ್ಲಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಯೋಚನೆ ಬಂದಿತ್ತಾ, ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಹೋಗಬಾರ್ದು?
ಅದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇದು ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಟು ಹೈ. ಸೊ ಲೈಕ್ ಐ ಡಿಂಟ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು that my parents would take burden. I didn't want to do that at all. So that is complete no for me. Second is it is I feel competitively very chaotic. There is I wanted my peaceful. I wanted to have my own pace. I wanted to see to it. Nane process ಅಲ್ಲಿ I want to explore and so I wanted to avoid that chaos at any cost. Because of these two, complete Delhi was a complete no for me.
ಓಕೆ ಸೊ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಈ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಪ್ರಿಪ್ರೇಷನ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಅ ಗ್ಯಾಂಬಲ್ ದಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಗೈಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಓರಿಯೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಆಯ್ತಾ. ವಿ ಆಲ್ ಕಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಅ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ವೇರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಲ್ಲೂ 2017 ಆಚೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಸೊ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ನೀವಿಬ್ರು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ದು ಕೂಡ ಈ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಪ್ರಿಪ್ರೇಷನ್ನೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ಹೇಗೆ? ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಗ್ಯಾಂಬಲ್ ಅನ್ಸ್ಲಿಲ್ವಾ?
Sir, I didn't feel like it was a gamble because I thought, irrespective of the coaching, self-preparation is very important. Coaching will give us a guidance ಅಂತ ನನಗೆ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. One just a path. ಸೊ ಈಗ ನಾವು ತುಂಬ ಜನ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿರೋರ ಹತ್ರನೂ ಇಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಈಸಿ ಡಿಜಿಟಲಿ ಆರ್ ಪರ್ಸ್ನಲಿ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಇಫ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಅವೈಲಬಲ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ತುಂಬ ಜನ ಡಿಜಿಟಲಿ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಪಾತ್ ಫಾರ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು 3-4 ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಆಂಗಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಟು ನೋ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ಅನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಅನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ನೋ ಸರ್ಟೈನ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಇರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಫ್ ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅಂತ ನನ್ಗೆ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ವಿ ನೋ ದೀಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಿ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಆಸ್ ಗುಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಸಮನ್ ವಾಸ್ ಟೇಕನ್ ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಿ ದಿಸ್ ವಾಸ್ ದ ರೀಸನ್ ವೈ ಐ ರಿಯಲೈಸ್ self study is indispensable irrespective whether we have taken coaching or not. Guidance, there are so many mediums to get guidance. So that was my take on it. That's how I decided.
ನೀವು ಹೇಗೆ, ಹೌ ಡಿಡ್ ಯು ಟೇಕ್ ದಟ್ ಐಡಿಯಾ? ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಪ್ರಿಪ್ರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ, ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ಬೇಡ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ?
Again, I was sure that like I won't be missing I won't be missing anything by not taking coaching, and I was sure because one, I had my guidance kin Nikhil sir idu, he was my support system for mentorship and other things as he told, anyway you have to go through the books and all, the same book, same thing. Also when I went through it, okay, I realized I can understand it. So I never doubted like not taking guidance at all, coaching at all.
Okay, so both of you probably can give an idea. So a message to all those who are taking coaching, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಪ್ರಿಪ್ರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ ಅನ್ನೋ ಡೌಟ್ ಬರೋರ್ಗು ಅಥವಾ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಪ್ರಿಪ್ರೇಷನ್ ಓದಬಹುದಾ ಅನ್ನೋರ್ಗು ಕೂಡ ಇಬ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಚ್ಛೆ ಪಡ್ತೀರಾ?
ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಫ್ ವಿ ಗೆಟ್ ಅನ್ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಎ ಗುಡ್ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಹೂ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗಾನ್ ಥ್ರೂ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್. ಸೊ ದೇ ಶುಡ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಅನ್ ಆಡೆಡ್ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್. ಬಟ್ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ರಿಲೈ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ಲಿ ಆನ್ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್. We should have some basic homework which we should do to clear this exam. So adralli they need to be aware of it. Self study iga presently digital medium bandirodrinda will get all the resources, irrespective of the best resources can be available. So adanna if we can make use of it, for example newspaper is available to everyone, digital analysis is available to everyone. Adanna use ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೂಡ ನೀವು ಈಗ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಅವೈಲಬಲ್ ಟು ಎವ್ರಿವನ್. ದೆನ್ ದ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ದ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಹೂ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಯೂಸ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಅವೈಲಬಲ್ ಟು ಎವ್ರಿವನ್. ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ವೈಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೆಲವು ಕೋಚಿಂಗ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಅನಲೈಸ್ ದಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಇನ್ ಡೆಪ್ತ್, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೌ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಆರ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಅಂತ. ಅದನ್ನ ದೋಸ್ 2-3 ಮೀಡಿಯಮ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್, ದೆನ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ದಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಕ್ರ್ಯಾಕಬಲ್ irrespective of coaching. So ಅದನ್ನ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀನಿ.
Wonderful.
Like similarly, I think personally at assessment ಆಗಬೇಕು at personal level, what are one's strengths and weaknesses ಅಂತ, and depending on the whether without coaching one can study, one can understand the things. One feels that depending on that one can take that decision.
More personalized ಆಗಿ self analysis ಮಾಡಿ decision ಮಾಡಿ.
Also another part is either for the process or being a civil servant, independent decision making is very important. So with coaching or without coaching, with coaching allu saha you have to be very independent agi decision agli analysis agli whether or ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, you can't just ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, you can't just be some bank person, you are not just depositing whatever information, you have to be independently thinking. So whether with coaching or without coaching, this process should be there. So I think as long as this process is there, both can I think work.
So before selection or after selection, independent decision making is what Tejas is stressing about. Let's specifically get into the process. Okay. So we know that the exam has 3 stages: prelims, mains, and interview. Prelims, challenging, very dicey stage. What were your initial thoughts on prelims? How did you prepare specifically for prelims? Tejas, probably start with.
It is a very the kind of whatever happens on that day become that decides our next course of action. So that was very important for me. So how I saw that was okay. This is the cutoff. Okay, this has been a trend in the cutoff. Like something. I don't want to go on the day of after writing prelims. I don't want to hope that I will clear. I want to be certain that I will clear the exam on the prelims day. So for that, I went through very intense things before the prelims. Ensure that I am just at least 20-25 marks above the cutoff, so that I am completely sure on that prelims day. So for that, I tried PYQs, see what are the how are they wanting us to think when we look at the questions. Whether commonsensical, whether analytical, or what kind of thought process they want from us. One can, if you want to analyze the PYQs, one can actually get it from it, and plus write lot of mocks that can give you mental resilience. Thing is, you have to be prepared for the worst case scenarios. So as long as you prepare for a lot of tough mocks, no, your mind becomes ready for any kind of question paper on the prelims day. So the important thing is that thing, not get shocked when you see the question paper. To be calm and to be able to solve the paper. I think this mental resilience things was what I practiced the most through mocks.
Wonderful. There is the unique thing with you is generally ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಷನ್ ಹೇಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಟೆಂಪ್ಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಕಷ್ಟ. ಸೊ ಜನರಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಟೆಂಪ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ಬರೆದ ಎರಡೂ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸು ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಎರಡೂ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಹೋಗ್ತೀರಾ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಡು ಯು ಥಿಂಕ್ ವಾಸ್ ದಟ್ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಐಡಿಯಾ? ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಡು ಯು ಥಿಂಕ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಯು ಟು ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಅಟ್ ಒನ್ಸ್?
I think it was about I wanted to be I think very certain on the prelims stage. I wanted to clear it, not just hope that I will clear the exam. That certainty I wanted even before 3 months before the exam. I wanted to be ready to write the exam. I think this approach from the beginning, I think helped. Of course, effort, dedication, determination. I think when who goes to the place, everyone has it. But difficult to pinpoint what really helped me in that process.
Okay, good. Rakshit, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜರ್ನಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ದ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಟೆಂಪ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ನಂತರ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಯು ಹವ್ ಗಾನ್ ಥ್ರೂ 4 ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಟೈಮ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಬರೀಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದಾಗ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ವೆರಿ ಸೈಕಲಾಜಿಕಲ್, ಮೆಂಟಲ್, ಎಮೋಷನಲಿ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಜರ್ನಿ. ಹೌ ಡಿಡ್ ಯು ಗೋ ಥ್ರೂ ಅಬೌಟ್?
ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಸರ್ ಅದೇ ನನ್ನ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಟೆಂಪ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ. ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್ ವಾಸ್, ನನಗೆ ಏನು ಮೈಂಡ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂದರೆ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ದಿ ಸನ್. ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ವಿ ನೋ ಇಟ್, ಇಫ್ ವಿ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ ಇಟ್, ಆ ಥರ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ. ಬಟ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಲಾರ್ಜರ್ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ. ಮೈಕ್ರೋ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್. ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ UPSC generally asks again and again. Politically, there are some basic questions which UPSC asks. Like similarly in economy, similarly in modern history, some topics, similarly in geography, environment. Other than that, current affairs ali there will be dicey things. So my analysis was we have to be good in the basics: polity, economy, history, ಮತ್ತೆ art and culture also to some extent. ಮತ್ತೆ geography, environment. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ basic strong ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ we'll have some idea. We'll be good with around 60 to 70 marks. Then apart from that, nanginond ಏನು ಅನ್ಸಿದ್ದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಾಮನ್ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ will give us that edge, because everyone who has the knowledge will make around 30 to 35 questions right. But little taking risks and using our common sense ನಮಗೆ ಒಂದು edge ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಆ ಕಟ್ ಆಫ್ ನ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. These are the two things which I worked on, and I also decided that ನಾವು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸತಿ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಬರೆಯೋ ಅಷ್ಟರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು 10,000 questions ನ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನನ್ನ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಸೆಟ್. 100 papers I will attend, 100 into 100 questions, so 10,000 questions I will attend ಅಂತ ಇತ್ತು. Then only I will be ready ಅಂತ. ಆ 10,000 questions ಅಲ್ಲಿ even if I have no idea about the topic of the question, I will try to use my common sense to understand, common sense to eliminate some options. ಇದನ್ನ ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ವಿಚ್ Tejas ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಸೆಡ್ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ. ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ವಿಗರಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್, ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಿ ಅರೌಂಡ್ 10,000 ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ನನ್ನ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಿ ಅವಾಗ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಎನಿ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟ್ಯಾಕಲ್ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ನನಗೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ಗೇನ್ ಅನ್ಸಿದ್ದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ UPSC ಈಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಹೌ ಡು ಪೀಪಲ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಸಿ ಎನಿ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನೋ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಇಟ್. Because UPSC wants officers who will act smartly in a situation where they're never into it. So prelims, mains, interview also checks on the same thing. So prelims again, if we have no idea about the question, still if we are able to deduce some answer, that will give us the edge. So ನನ್ನ mindset ಆ ಥರ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ, ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಿ ದಟ್ ಮೇಡ್ ಎ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್.
ವಂಡರ್ಫುಲ್. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಜರ್ನಿ ಥ್ರೂ ಯು ಹವ್ ಸೀನ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಟೆಂಪ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಆಗದೇ ಇದ್ದು ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ನಿಲ್ಲೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಲುಕ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟುಡೇ, ವಾಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ದಟ್ ಒನ್ ಥಿಂಗ್, ಇದೊಂದು ನಾನು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡೆ ಅಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮೀ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಟೈಮ್, ವಾಟ್ ವುಡ್ ಬಿ ದಟ್ ಒನ್ ಥಿಂಗ್?
So that one thing is mindset.
Okay.
Because knowledge, everyone who studies for 1 or 2 years will get it. But mindset and that working under the pressure, ಅದೊಂದನ್ನ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ we'll get everything. We'll try to put ourselves under the pressure even before prelims. We'll try to fix around 1.5 hours, try to solve 100 questions. So ಈ mindset change ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ I think we'll get that. The positive mindset is irrespective of my knowledge, I'll use my common sense to answer. I'll use knowledge to the best of my ability. If I'm not, I'll definitely use my common sense, because UPSC expects you to use more common sense. So more usage of common sense, we are more near to the cutoff of the non-mind. That was the change which I think I did.
Wonderful. So one of the most important aspect of prelims apart from general studies is CSAT. And ಈ ಬಾರಿಯ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕಟ್-ಆಫ್ಸ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕಟ್-ಆಫ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗಾನ್ ಡೌನ್ ಆಸ್ ಲೋ ಆಸ್ 75. ಅಂಡ್ ಒಂದು ರೀಸನ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ CSAT ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ವಿ ವುಡ್ ಲವ್ ಟು ನೋ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಈಚ್ ಆಫ್ ಯು ವಾಟ್ ವೇರ್ ಯುವರ್ ಅಪ್ರೋಚಸ್ ಟುವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ CSAT.
So my approach was like CSAT, of course, when I wrote prelims for the first time, my CSAT score was around 80. But regularly I have been scored, after that another 3 times I scored around 110, irrespective of the difficulty. ನನಗೆ ಏನು ಅನಿಸಿದ್ದು ಅಂದರೆ ಸರ್, CSAT ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನ್ಯೂಮರಿಕಲ್ ಆಪ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಗೆಟ್ ದಟ್ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಾಲ್ವಿಂಗ್, ವೆದರ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಟೈಮ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಸ್. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ದಟ್ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ಪ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ ವಿಚ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪಿಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಅಪ್. We should analyze ourselves whether we have it. People with say engineering background may have it little bit naturally.
So that one question I wanted to ask you, so sorry that I'm interrupting there. Engineers ಗೆ CSAT ತುಂಬಾ ಈಸಿ, ಬೇರೆಯವರು ತುಂಬಾ ಕಷ್ಟ ಅನ್ನೋ ನೋಷನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, and then how do you see it?
So that is probably because they think that engineers are little bit more technical, but they are also finding it very difficult. UPSC is a great leveler, because there it is at the end of the day it is just a skill set. Numerical aptitude is just a skill. If we have it naturally, it's fine. If we don't have it, let's work for it. Irrespective of anyone, they have to have it. So UPSC expects the basic skill. That means within the time limit, we need to deduce some answer. That works for quantitative aptitude. When we come for English comprehension, UPSC expects us to understand the concept in a most generalized way, because all the 4 options will look similar. In the English comprehension, the answer will be the one which is more generalized and more universal. Very narrow, very negative statements will never be the answer, though it might look it is related to the topic. So in English, our approach should be little different, that to find out which is the most universal answer to the topic. Quantitative aptitude is a skill. If we have it, it's good. If we don't have it, irrespective whether you're engineer or not, we have to develop it over time. So we have to work for it, because they are making it CSAT has been difficult for over 2 to 3 years, 2 to 3 years from last 3 years. So I think it's a skill which over the time 2 to 3 months people can develop. That's how I will see it.
Wonderful, wonderful. So in the same manner, I would add one more part to this. CSAT approach jotege, when you see CSAT changing over period of time, do you see it is getting tougher Also, in the same idea, for these people who decide that first ನಾನು ಬರೀ ಇದನ್ನ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಇದನ್ನ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ,
Whether it becomes difficult or not, it's not in our hands, it's not in our control. So I think we should do what's in our control, like practice rigorously, face the toughest papers before the and before some 10-15 CSAT papers toughest. Then you will see that okay, you can assess that okay, where do you stand and all. So you will know right before the CSAT itself where your strengths and weaknesses in the CSAT. I think that helps a lot. And secondly, as with the strategy, one you should form the strategy right before the exam itself. How much do I do and this and that. So my personal strategy was okay. For maths, there is 1 or 0. Okay, I get answers right or wrong, but it is taking time for me to solve the questions. But for English, there is around 70% accuracy for me, 70 to 80% accuracy for me. But I can finish it in shorter time. So my strategy was okay. In first 1 hour 15 minutes, I will try to solve as many maths problem as possible, because whatever answers I got, I'm getting for 90 to 95% accuracy. But for English, okay, but I have to do it because I'm getting 70%, 70 to 80% accuracy. But I'm solving a lot of questions, so that will help me push up the scores. That way, even though I was strong in mathematics, I've made sure that before it I solved 20 to 30 mocks of CSAT, so that at no point I should get scared when I get panicked when I saw the paper, even if the toughest question. This year also, I think that helped me a lot by facing a lot of tougher mocks.
Wonderful. So, no, finally, to sum up with CSAT specifically, if you can come up with one word advice telling for those who are fearing CSAT, this is one thing you have to do, what would be that one thing?
I think practice a lot. Ensure that at least 1 month before the exam itself, that you are going to go through the CSAT. Ensure that do whatever it requires to ensure that practice a lot. That's what.
So practice, and practice.
Yes.
So what would you say?
So I would say analyze and practice.
Analyze and practice.
Every time we practice, analyze, go back. And there will be certain difficult questions. For some students, CSAT will be difficult. For some students, GS will be difficult. So whichever is difficult for us, we have to analyze it and we have to work on that. If we work on the first instance, probably we'll be 15% better. If we work on the second instance, probably we'll be 30% better. So eventually we'll be around 70 to 80% better. So analyze and practice is what I would say.
Wonderful. So to all those who are giving prelims this time, so what would be your wish? What is your message to going out to them?
I think go for the win. Don't think there is. Don't even go with the mindset that exam is uncertain, exam is unpredictable. That mindset itself kills you even before the game begins. Go with the thing that okay, whatever it is, I think I will go for the win and I will clear it, and the mindset change will do wonders.
Go for the win, go for the kill. Okay, really, Rakshit.
I would say use your common sense more than your knowledge. That would help you to clear the exam.
Wonderful. Okay. Go for the kill and use your common sense. Both wonderful messages that you're going up. So with this, we'll sum up the idea of prelims. Now let's come to the most challenging stage and also a very dynamic stage called mains. So mains, we all know, is very challenging and much more because every marks of mains adds on to your rank and such. So we were talking to Suma. Suma said that every marks is 10 ranks. No idea really. So in that sense, let's understand the idea of mains. So what was your impression of mains when you started preparing as an engineer? When we all do, it's all about derivations, 100 marks in 3 hours. All of a sudden 250 marks in 3 hours. Idella bandaga. What was your initial impression?
Sir, initial impression was 3 hours one kade ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು patience ಆಗಿ ಬರೆಯೋದು it itself is a task. So ಅದನ್ನ practice ಮಾಡೋದು was a challenge for me. If we break down prelims, irrespective of ನಾವು subjects ನ syllabus ನ side ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು 3 hours concentrated ಆಗಿ ಅದೇ enthusiasm ಇಂದ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ ವರೆಗೂ ಬರೆಯೋದು without getting broke down in the middle. ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಟಫ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ನ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ದಿದ್ದಾಗ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಅದನ್ನ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಡೌನ್ ಆಗದೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ವರೆಗೂ ಬರೋದು ಇಟ್ ಇಟ್ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಟಾಸ್ಕ್ ವಿಚ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್. ಅದು ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ Syllabus is the other one, and mains is a rigorous thing. 2 weeks of continuous writing. So we'll have on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and next Saturday, Sunday. So 2 weeks was of continuous ನಾವು good enthusiastic mode ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. These are the two in terms of aptitude develop ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಾದ್ರೆ, skill develop ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಾದ್ರೆ. Apart from that, syllabus. So prelims ಅಲ್ಲಿ there will be 9 papers, where 2 papers will be qualifying, other 7 papers will be used for the merit. And as you said, sir, for every 1 mark there will be around 10 to sometimes 15 ranks also at the in the final merit list. So prelims ali mains ali the prelims was more about the vastness of your knowledge. Mains is more about the depth of your knowledge in a single topic. Prelims is more about how many number of topics you know. Mains is how good you know about the topic. So mains ali the main thing is to understand the syllabus and previous year questions. These are our guide, because UPSC tomorrow can change the pattern all over again about how they ask. They can even reduce the number of questions to 15. They can even increase it to 25. We can't complain. So we have to be ready for everything. And the previous year questions are the guide for us. Irrespective of how much we study, if we are not aware of the previous year questions, we will be little away from the cutoff. Irrespective of what we study, and if we are aware of the topics that are asked in the previous year questions, and if we have good grasp on that, we will be near to the cutoff. These are irrespective for the papers. We can discuss about the individual papers, but generally I would say previous year questions are the guide for us, for optionals and also for the general studies.
Wonderful. That was pretty detailed in terms of. So Tejas, when you're a science student shifting to humanities, you're doing a master's there, and then when you looked at mains, you felt it was an easy transition, or you felt you needed to do altogether different work?
Yeah, mains was actually the most challenging for me when I began my preparation. Prelims I was able to manage, but when I start preparing the test December, but mains was the main challenging. I don't think till my I cleared the prelims I was good in mains or anything. After that I did get it back. But like sitting down and writing for 3 hours, 250 words, I wasn't able to do it. I think with a lot of practice, with little mindset change, that really helped me in clearing mains. Also, my idea was there's no point just clearing the mains because anyway that won't get me into top rank. So for me, at least 50 to 60 marks above the cutoff was my challenge. Though I'm still to get it, but that was my approach towards it. And for that, I did rigorous approach. Finishing the paper is mandatory within the 3 hours. And of course, whatever the skill set you use for prelims, like keeping your composure. Now, even if you don't know the question, how do you deal with it? So all these skills comes into play, and managing your composure and mental resilience throughout the exam process. And the important there are different other things is your analytical ability. For example, in offshore or anything, the analytical ability is important. One of the strategic mistakes I've seen is people think this is bad and rote learning. You have to just bad things and you have to go right. I don't think that is the thing. That is getting very analytical. For example, GS3 or GS1, very analytical. I think as you practice, you start enjoying that analytical process itself, starting analyzing things itself. You start doing that, one gets better at it. Also, the thing is, wherever there is a chance for subjectivity, use it, because that opens an option to express yourself. For example, in your optional or in your essay or in ethics, these are the things that will give you a lot of opportunity to subjectivity. So these are the place where you have to excel yourself. Excel yourself. I think this was this was what I think in my first mains. After I writing my mains, before the mains I thought I would be exhausted after the mains. But after writing mains, I felt I totally enjoyed the process. I totally enjoyed writing answers to each one. I totally put myself into it, to the answers. I enjoyed the whole process itself.
Wonderful. Very few people clear mains at one shot, but both the times you wrote, you have cleared mains. That's so. If there is one thing or few things that you felt that this is something that worked for me, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಎರಡೂ ಸತಿ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದಾದ್ರೆ ವಾಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ದಟ್?
I think following the basics, right, like finishing the paper, finishing the complete paper, ensuring that you're addressing the demand of the question, ensuring you're thinking the question from different dimensions. Uh, I think these following the basics helped me a lot in the clearing mains.
ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಅದೇ ಜರ್ನಿ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ನೀವು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಟೆಂಪ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಫಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾ, ನಂತರ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತೀರಾ, ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ನಂತರ 2 ಬಾರಿ ಈಗ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ವಾಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಡಿಡ್ ಯು ಡೂ ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜಿ ದಟ್ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ 2 ಬಾರಿ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಫಸ್ಟಿಂದ 4th ಅಟೆಂಪ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಹೌ ವಾಸ್ ದಟ್ ಎವಾಲ್ವಿಂಗ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನಿಂಗ್?
The first time when I wrote mains, I just wrote it that I have cleared prelims, that I have to. My only thing was that I will complete the paper irrespective of what anta. Second, and then the other 2 mains which I cleared, I think I had some systematic thought in my mind. So what I had decided was I would study the previous year questions and I would pick up the main topics and I would prepare thoroughly for that. And there will be some questions which I would know probably 50% of it or 30% of it. I would write to the best of my knowledge. This was one thing which I did. Then second is I used around 2 test series given by the coaching centers. So that would simulated environmentally, I used to test myself, because for me 3 hours continuously same enthusiasm maintain ಮಾಡೋದು initially was a tough task. And basics and practice, that was the important thing. Then apart from that, one the thought ಏನಂದ್ರೆ we have to fight for every single mark, because for prelims ಒಂಥರ vast syllabus ತರ, mains ಗೆ set syllabus it is there. GS1 ಗೆ there is set syllabus, GS2, 3, 4. Then optional though definitely there is set syllabus. Each topic in the syllabus ಅಲ್ಲಿ I have to know at least 1 page or 2 page answers. This was in my mind that I will prepare at least 1 or 1.5 pages for each topic. And if I get to if there are easy questions, I would use it. If it is related also, I would try to use this knowledge to answer those questions. This was one of the things. And for previous year questions, for political science international relations as an optional, I had decided that I would solve last 10 years paper. 10 years ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ questions ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು I would solve. Even if the questions are repeated, I would solve it again so that it becomes a muscle memory. Because mains ಅಲ್ಲಿ we won't have time to think, we have to just write. 20 questions ಅಲ್ಲಿ if we use around 2 to 3 minutes or maybe even a minute to think for a single question, we won't be able to answer 2 questions at the last. So my thought was that it has to become my muscle memory. Idu more works in the optional, because optionally they would ask only core questions and to the point questions. And GSLE little bit there will be little dicey questions. Current affairs I include not within that. So my thing was like it has to become my muscle memory. I should just read the question, I should start writing that. These are the things which I think.
So that's the process of evolution that is.
Yes.
ಈಗ 2 ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಡೀಲ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಒಂದು ಜನರಲ್ ನೋಷನ್ ಇಸ್ 20 ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಅಟೆಂಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಒಂದು ಜನರಲ್ ನೋಷನ್. ಬಟ್ ಕೆಲವು ಹೊಸದಾಗಿ ಮೇನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರೋ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಹೊಸ ಆಸ್ಪಿರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ 20 ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಬೇಡ, ಬೆಸ್ಟಾಗಿ ಒಂದು 15-16 ಬರೆಯೋಣ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ಇಬ್ಬರು ಕೂಡ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಫೋಕಸಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ದಿ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಆಫ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟಿಂಗ್ ದಿ ಪೇಪರ್. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸೊ what is the strategy? What is the right strategy? Completing the paper, average above average answers, or best answers 16-17?
So my thought is completing the paper to the best of our ability.
Okay.
We should fight for every single mark.
Okay.
So if we lose out if we improve in the initial, if we say 15 questions, we'll attempt to the best of my knowledge, best of our ability. We'll probably about for 15 markers, we'll get around 5.5, 6.5. So maximum we can improve is still probably 8. We can improve 1.5 marks. But if we attempt all the questions, last 2-3 questions if we leave, and if we attempt those things also, we'll get around 4 marks, say 3.5 marks. That will cumulatively will get more marks. My thought is there will be some questions where we'll just go in a fast pace because we'll have lack of time for that. So that's why initially attempt questions which have more weightage. That was my thought. So 15 markers have little bit more weightage. So we should attempt those questions. That was my thought. And 10 markers, we have to attempt to the best of our ability, but we can just stress on it at the last moment. This was my thought. So my thought was give weightage to the questions which have more weightage, and attempting all questions is a must, irrespective of what time or how lack of time you have. Attempting all the questions to the best of our ability is must. We have to fight for every single mark. That was my mindset.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, what would you say?
Like same as I said, right, as I said, while we are fighting for each mark, well, so many ranks are depending or coming for each mark. I think you should try to complete the whole paper, because in the exam, 12 questions are something you know, or you have some strained knowledge of. Another around 7 questions would be like bouncers for you. So, like taking mathematically as well, writing like the best answers for 12 questions and then leaving is also, that is lesser than even writing average marks for all the 20 questions as well. I think I would go for, even if you write average, I think go for 20 questions. But that is like a very defensive strategy. I still feel the aggressive strategy would be go for the, as I said, go for the best answer for all the 20 questions. I think the in the beginning, if the thought process is like I'll write 15 questions, I think that mindset that affects in the, because that becomes the habit itself. So I think that mindset change will really help a lot, sir.
Right, great. So, in this sense of things, let's come to the preparation stage for Nathan. Was there a time where you timed yourself? ಇವಾಗ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ನಾವು 10 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ವಾಚ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು 7.5 minutes 8 minutes ಒಂದು 10 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಬೇಕು, 9 minutes ಒಂದು 15 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಬೇಕು, ಈ ಥರ ಏನಾದರೂ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರ? ವಾಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ದಿ ವೇ ದಟ್ ಯು ಟುಕ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್?
ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕಲಿ ಫಾರ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಂದರೆ ನಾವು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸೀರೀಸ್ ಬರೆದಾಗ ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಎ ಜನರಲ್ ಐಡಿಯಾ that first 10 marker 5 questions I'll finish by 35 to 40 minutes or maybe 45 minutes, because initially ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ detailed ಆಗಿ ಬರೀತೀನಿ ಅಂತ. Then last ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ 15 markers ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ತಿರ್ಗ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 5 questions I'll have around 30 to 35 minutes or maybe 40 minutes ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಈ ಥರ ಜನರಲ್ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್, ಬಯೋಲಾಜಿಕಲ್ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ಥರ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೈಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ನಾವು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ 3 hours ಪೇಪರ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ. That was my general idea. Other than that, 15 mark istay question, because sometimes nam 15 mark alli jaasti answers namge strong irutte knowledge, 10 marker alla strong iralla. So 15 mark alli jaasti marks goskara we'll write it little bit detailed. 10 marker alli if we know little bit better we'll write little bit detailed. So individual questions ke time gidokinta ee 10 questions na nan istu hour 1 hour something alli nan mugistini annadu was little bit better strategy for me personally anstu. And that's how I did it.
ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟೈಮ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು 5 day ಮೇಲೆ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ?
ನಂದು I like I have to to see with my watch. I like instead of video question, my idea was like finish the paper alla. So I divided, okay, 1 hour 5 minutes or 1 hour 10 minutes for all the 10 marker questions, then rest questions for the 15 marker question. So this was my approach, and because this I practiced in my mocks, that became my muscle memory. That's how we went with the mains as well.
Wonderful. Okay. So, this is in terms of how are you approaching mains in general specifics. ಈಗ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಪೇಪರ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ GS 1, 2 and 3 ಆರ್ ಆಫ್ ಒನ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ನೇಚರ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಿಪ್ರೇಷನ್ ವೈಸ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಿಪ್ರೇಷನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗಿರೋ ರೀತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕಲಿ ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಟು ಎಥಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ, ಎಥಿಕ್ಸ್ there is nothing right and wrong about ethics. So we would like to know what was your preparation strategy for ethics, and how did you approach ethics as a subject? Thejas.
Like with practice, what I learned was, okay, I need to give a lot of examples, for example, if I'm taking any question, for example, idea of corruption or anything, that is lot of angles to look at it. One is, if I look at from GS2, it is a legal angle, corruption. But if I'm looking at from an ethical angle, that can be looked at from the whole different perspective. So I thought that, okay, ethics paper, if I'm giving the same question, similar question, to look each question from ethical angle and bring out my ethical argument, and give like examples for it. So for it, for the ethical arguments, I had to practice a lot, because the time frame and being spontaneous ethical argument. For the examples part, I collected a lot of examples from newspaper, daily newspapers, whatever it is. I used to bring example. So this was my strategy for the first part of the ethics. For the second part,
ಕೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್ಗೆ
for the case studies, I went with there's a issue, I need to solve it. How do I use the practical approach within the constitutional legal framework? Can't go with ideal, that won't solve the issue. Need to be very pragmatic, because that's what I would do as an administrator as well. I need to be very pragmatic. I need to solve the issue. I think I went with that approach. I went with my mindset. That itself.
ವಂಡರ್ಫುಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಎಥಿಕ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಿಪರೇಷನ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜಿ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು
ಸರ್? ನಾನು ಎಥಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ವೈಸ್ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು. ಆಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್, ಆಪ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್, ದೆನ್ ಎಥಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಸರ್ವೆಂಟ್, ದಿಸ್ ಆರ್ ದಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಆ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಗೆ ಐ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಎ ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್ and a positive example and also a negative example. As Thejas said, examples are very important in ethics. Nanu, I used to give more examples about civil servants only. Civil servants who have done great work, and there are other also civil servants who are convicted. So I used to have positive examples and negative examples. Then I also used to collect historical examples, say Ramayana, Mahabharata, and also other in the history, in the historical context, we can get so many examples. So examples are one set of it. Then definition of ethical terms is another set of it. Then the way we answer GS 1, 2, 3, we can't answer GS 4 in the same.
Exactly.
GS 4 requires an ethical answer. Our answers should be in ethical way. In GS 3 probably we'll use more data. In GS 2 we'll probably use more Supreme Court cases or articles. GS 1 we'll probably use committee names, etc. Here we should be more ethical in our answers. Looking at it in a pragmatic way, the way we have to mold our ways in thinking in terms of ethical angle in every question. Whereas corruption, if in GS3 requires a different answer, corruption in GS4 requires a different answer and different example. So the answering pattern will give us more marks with examples. And I also used to prepare on different quotes given by different thinkers for every particular topic. Attitude, 2 quotes, and there were other aptitude. I used to prepare for 2 quotes. And these quotes used to also help me to write case studies. In case studies, when we start with a quote, or probably with a directive principle, state policy, or probably with a fundamental right related to the topic, that would give them some sense that the evaluator might think that the candidate has understood the question to a larger extent. And also, as Thejas said, we have to analyze every situation in a pragmatic way, not in ideal way. We have to analyze it in a constitutional way also. We have to analyze in societal way. So these ways, and we can give different examples, and there is a set pattern to prepare for that. So in my mindset, I used to think that I would start with a quote and I would also end with a quote. And the body of the answer would be the solution would be dealt in a pragmatic way. This was my mindset for the case study. And for the other part of it, as I said, quotes to start and end with a quote, and to give more examples, preferably of civil servants, or we can give other examples as well. And there is also scope to write flow charts, diagrams in GS4. That also could be used. This was my general preparation for GS4.
So both of you have stressed on the importance of examples for ethics. I would want to know, for the benefit of fresh audience or all new aspirants, where do we get examples from? How do we prepare examples from? ಯಾವ ಬುಕ್ಕಿಂದ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಥವಾ ಹೇಗೆ? What was your approach to pick up examples?
So example we can pick it from the newspapers in a daily basis. We can maintain separate notes for GS4, and for each topic we'll get a lot of examples in the current scenario. And historical context, we'll get a lot of example in our mythological stories, and also in our historical stories from the Mauryas till the Britishers. So a lot of examples we can find out. These are the two main things. And sometimes we can give our personal examples. An incident where we have seen something or we have gone through something. These also can be
build a case study.
Yes, sir. These are the 3 main things. And also a civil servant who has already cleared this exam and who has exhibited a new thing, that also would be very important. Because that would show that the candidate is aspiring to be someone. He's thinking that the other civil servant has done a great job and he's thinking to do it in the same way. So these are the 4 important things. the current examples in the current affairs and newspapers which you did, and historical examples, and also of the civil servants example, and also of your personal example. So it can be as diverse as this. And we can also get examples in some of the books. For example, D.K. Balaji sir's book has a lot of examples in the historical. He has compiled a lot of examples. We can refer to.
ವಂಡರ್ಫುಲ್. ಸೊ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟಿದೆ. ತೇಜಸ್, ಈಗ ಪ್ರಿಪ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಓದಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಸರಿ, ಬಟ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಆನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಲೈನ್ಸ್. ಯು ಪಿ ಎಸ್ ಸಿ ಇಸ್ ಥ್ರೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಸರ್ಪ್ರೈಸಸ್ ಎಟ್ ಯು. ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಈ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಹೌ ರಿಯಲಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್? ಆರ್ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ಡ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಸೆಟಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಇದಕ್ಕಿದು ಅನ್ನೋ ಥರ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಯುವರ್ ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್? ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು?
I think that comes with a lot of practice. One is can't go with expected mindset or okay chance illa, go with the open mindset. And with this lot of marks kodta hodaga, because you give 5, 6 or some 10 marks or anything, at each question and each test you will be testing your thing. So by the time you are going through 10th mock, all this example becomes very ingrained. So you will start thinking, okay, examples na what are the ethical angles? You very ingrained. Systematically you will start thinking it is no more a biased thing for you, but it's more a analytical thing for you. Okay, this example, okay, any issue with that. So when you practice a lot, I think this becomes very ingrained and becomes very muscle memory by the end of when you give the mains exam.
Wonderful, wonderful. So that sums up largely the approach towards ethics as such, and you have mentioned the book also. So to a fresh aspirant, a new aspirant who has to study a subject called ethics which you would have never been in touch with, what should be the first thought or an open mind? What is that approach one should carry? Very few words are Ibru Hedodada.
Sir, I would say for ethics perspective, an aspirant should know that there are no right answers and wrong answers. It is more about how we defend our stance. Even if we take the other stance which no one has taken, if we are able to defend it, we'll get marks. So my simple strategy for them would be to be prepared with all the topics, ethical topics which are given in the syllabus. So UPSC can give out of syllabus questions also sometimes, but we have to be prepared for whatever is asked. And be prepared for that, use examples, and as Thejas said, prepare for a lot of mocks. That would give them a muscle memory, that when we see an attitude based questions, the way we approach the question, we'll have that muscle memory, and for the topic that is asked, we'll just rearrange things. So we have to make this as a muscle memory to finish the paper and also to write good answers, good to best answers for all the questions.
Wonderful. So on the same line, Thejas, in terms of the fresh approach annodhu jotege, now how do you bring that differentiation from GS paper 1 to 3 to specific ethics? Idukku kuda oba fresh aspirant drishtiyinda what would you add?
From a perspective of fresh aspirant, I think important thing is look at things from an ethical angle for the ethics paper. Because this is one of mistakes I used to do during my mocks, where I used to bring a lot of legal aspects into the GS2 aspects into the GS4. I think that was a mistake. One of my mentors told me that to look it from ethical angle. I think this is the important thing. As we discussed earlier, taking corruption or any incident, like same citizen charter or RTI is in the same GS2 as well and GS4 as well. And how do we bring in ethical angle? For example, RTI can be regarded to transparency, but with respect to GS2, you will approach it different. RTI will approach it in very different way itself. So see, how do you bring ethical perspective? For this, yes, a lot of basic preparation should have been already done in this, either with respect to D.K. Balaji's book about understanding each aspect of ethical terms. What are these and how one uses it in administration. Once when one revises this revises it a lot of times, so this becomes very ingrained. And there is actually one triangle where first type of understanding is batting, second is become building conceptual, third is analytical, fourth is you start creating the knowledge. I think a lot of revision you will reach the top of that triangle where it becomes very ingrained in you. You will start analyzing things. It's similar to ethics. Once you revise it a lot of times, the same ethical terms and all, that becomes very ingrained in you. I think.
ವೆರಿ ವೆರಿ ಇನ್ಸೈಟ್ಫುಲ್. ಇಬ್ರು ಕೂಡ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಎಥಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ಆಸ್ಪಿರೆಂಟ್ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಕೋನದಿಂದ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಕೋನದಿಂದ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀರಾ.
And I would also like
Please.
to add one thing, that there will be so many toppers answers. Always build your own perspective for any ethical job. It might be unique. It will be unique. Yours will always be unique, and that will fetch you more marks than copying someone's pattern. So that I would say, always have your own unique answers. Your own unique way of thinking, we have to preserve it. That's what I would say.
So wonderful to come from a topper himself. That ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಟಾಪರ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಅಚೀವರ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವುದನ್ನು ನೋಡು ಕೂಡ ಕಳೆದು ಹೋಗಬೇಡಿ. ಡೋಂಟ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಎಮ್ಯುಲೇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್. Build your own unique approach. Definitely your uniqueness will work.
Yes.
Great. So summing up ethics in that line, now let's move to a very important other part, which is essay. Now we all know essay is a mark fetching idea. It's something that can create an edge. What should be an approach to an essay? Right. So both of you are science students to start with. You are an engineer, moves on to humanities. So specifically, ನಮಗೆ essay writing ಅನ್ನೋದು it doesn't come naturally. So how did you approach essay specific, and then what was your approach as such?
So for me, essay was a difficult paper. Out of all the 7 papers, I would say for me, essay was the most difficult paper. Because for me, there is a chance of our thoughts getting lost in those 3 hours. We'll start with a mindset, then our thoughts might change. So there is a need to preserve our thought in a set direction. So for that, preparing a set map for every question that we attempt in essay, that is very important. So my thought was that I would prepare a set map, that this will be my starting point, introduction, and this is how I am going to write. The flow would be this way, and that would be the end. And irrespective of the thoughts, that new thoughts that I get, I will try to just incorporate in as an example. Otherwise, I would just leave it. This was my thought. Then second way, as a preparation, nowadays essays are becoming very philosophical. There are no set individual topics. For example, poverty and women related topics. These were very common a few years back. Now we have to be ready for any way of thinking, and everyone can interpret an essay in a different way. So we have to know what is the most relevant context that the essay is asking. We can't have a diversified ways, much diversified than what UPSC is thinking. Then that point of time we might not get marks. So the relevant context, we need to think about it. I also used to use a lot of quotes in the starting, and also in the ending, and also in the middle, wherever it was necessary. So quotes can also add to your marks, but those won't give you marks completely. The perspective that you generate in the essay, that will give you the marks. So if you use it, if you either you write for or against to the topic, if you use different perspectives, that only will fetch more marks. So I would for any suggestions, I would like to say that use a topic and try to bring different dimensions. It's not necessarily politically economic. So those are not dimensions. Those are together single dimensions. I would like to say, whether for to the topic or against to the topic, use a different perspective. If hard work brings success is the topic, use it in a different way. Can hard work really bring success, or only hard work can it bring success? So we have to open up our mind in essay. That's how I would say that essay works.
So essay specific agi, you come from a science background and then you moved on to humanities also. There are sometimes a danger that I'll be too technical ಅಂತನೂ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ I'll be too elaborate ಅಂತ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಈ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಕಂಡುಕೊಂಡ್ರಿ ನೀವು?
I think looking with practice, yeah, one can find the balance with whether with the feedback loop, getting the feedback loop, with continuous practice, one can get it. But I don't think I would be the right person to answer this, because I have enjoyed the essay process. I think I've tried explored different ways of. I don't think that has given me as much feedback in terms of marks. So I don't think I'm the right person to see what's the right way to use the essay. Though I enjoy writing the essay.
Wonderful. Very, very honest of you to that. So essay in all terms brings in if there's one word again to say, one line, one sentence that you want to say, ಎಸ್ಸೆಗೆ ಈ ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅನ್ನೋದಾದ್ರೆ ವಾಟ್ ವುಡ್ ಬಿ?
Sir, I would say in essay also examples and quotes will add the marks. Build your own perspective. For any topic, UPSC doesn't expect you to agree on the topic and write only on that, giving different examples. Even if you disagree on the topic, tell why do you disagree. Even if you disagree on something else which is related to it, where you can bring a new perspective, please tell. For example, sir, if there was a question on ship in the harbor is safe, but that is not what the ship is
meant for.
So ship in the harbor is safe is also true, but sometimes ship has to stay in the harbor. It can't go blindly. Sometimes if it goes blindly, then also it's a problem. Sometimes it can't stay in the harbor. Sometimes it has to go. So there is some tussle on that. So think in those perspective also. So build a different perspective. That will give you good marks and maintain your unique answer writing style.
So dimension, counter dimension, eradu tanni
Yes.
uniqueness ಉಳಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ.
Yes.
So to bring a small change into it, what would be the right strategy to choose a topic? There are 8 topics, you have to choose 2. What would be the right strategy to choose a topic?
I think choose a topic which really opens up our thinking process, where it's analytical. Okay, so the comfortability of topic depends on different person, but choose that really opens up the whole Pandora's box, that you can explore analytically, argumentatively, that you can bring out different perspectives itself. That kind of kindles even your own curiosity as well. That can be brought out in the answer sheet as well. Like one of the things I personally enjoy reading certain books or articles that kind of keeps the flow going. There is a curiosity. There is no stigma. Okay, there is no beginning from the beginning itself. This is the notion and all. They start exploring the things as they go about it. I really enjoy it. I think I used to follow the process that kind of kindles even on my intellectual curiosity, that I can explore things in different ways, to choose the topics that I would enjoy writing.
If just a one-word answer on that notion, Thejas, in telling, choose a topic that nobody chooses, or choose a topic that's extremely comfortable?
I think second one, extremely comfortable for you.
Okay. So sometimes choosing a topic that nobody chooses works?
Choosing a topic which you are comfortable, even if no one chooses.
Okay. That's right. If you are comfortable with, though nobody chooses, you choose wonderful. Okay, that's wonderful insight about the essay specific. Now let's come to the penultimate stage of interview. Now, before getting exactly into the interview, let's talk about the integrated part of the preparation. UPSC Civil Services ಓದುವಾಗ ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್, ಮೇನ್ಸ್, ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಮೂರನ್ನೂ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಓದಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಜನರಲ್ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ನಾವು in all 2 stages you have seen in both your attempts you have seen all 3 stages. ನೀವು 3-4 attempt ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡು, how did you maintain this integration? Was it really possible or just theoretical?
Sir, basically we'll get knowledge. Knowledge is the prime thing. How we use that knowledge in prelims, mains, interviews, left for that. Prelims requires a little bit different set of preparation, where we have to eliminate some options, where we have to use common sense, etc. So the knowledge is the same, but how we use it for different stages is different. So prelims only we have to practice a lot of questions on MCQs. Mains only we have to have different perspective. We have to write lengthy answers. Interview we have to able to convey our thoughts, convey our dimensions without any hesitancy, and also with confidence and without getting into pressure. So I would say the knowledge is the same. The way the medium and also the way we apply is different in different stages. This is how I would like to put it.
Wonderful. How would you see the integration part of it?
I think whatever the personality traits that are required in interview, I think those are very much required in all the 3 stages itself. For example, with respect to the balance of thought, or to the composure that one needs to maintain, or the intellectual curiosity that is needed. This intellectual curiosity, ability to learn from others. I think these things really help in both prelims and mains as well. With regards to this, that should become a part of habit itself. I think not just for the exam. I think as a general rule itself, that should become a habit. That will really help in the interview. But there is a interview specific preparation as well, with regards to the how am I talking to the board member, the honorable board members, how am I approaching the answers, whether I'm maintaining the composure when they ask difficult questions. So these require little bit of practice, but more than this, the personality, I think these get shaped through the whole process itself. So I think I believe that.
Wonderful. Very nicely put through, Tejas, as such. Now, let's specifically get into the interview as such. ನೀವು 2 ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ನೀವು 2 ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲ ಇದ್ದಂಥ ಕಲ್ಪನೆ ಏನು? ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ, ಪಿ ಎಸ್ ಸಿ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಹೀಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಈ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನಂತರ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಫೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಹೇಗೆ? ಇದನ್ನ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಲ್ಪನೆಗಳ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಕೇಳಿ.
ಸರ್, ನನಗೆ ಮೊದಲು ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಕಲ್ಪನೆ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಥಾಟ್ಸ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದಿತ್ತು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇಂಪ್ರೆಸಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಆಮೇಲೆ ನನ್ಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದ್ದು ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಈಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಪರ್ಸನಾಲಿಟಿ. ಯುವರ್ ಓನ್ ಪರ್ಸನಾಲಿಟಿನ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರಿಟೇನ್ ಇಟ್. ಇಫ್ ವಿ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಕಾಪಿ ಸಮನ್ ಎಲ್ಸಸ್ ಪರ್ಸನಾಲಿಟಿ, ದೆನ್ in the journey of an officer also we'll try to copy another's personality. We won't get the unique solution which an officer has to give. So nangansittu I will retain my personality. My personality is that I will talk confidently and I will honestly say that I know this answer and I know this much of the answer, and I will try to learn about the other question. So initial is the honesty in terms of the retaining personality, honesty in terms of answering questions whether we know it or we don't know it. These are the two things. Second, I would say there will be some questions which they will definitely try to put us down, so that they will try to understand how would this candidate react. So maintaining a stable mind at that point of time is very important. That is one of the important things. Third, they will also try to understand one's creativity. If we are good enough, we should encash those questions. And fourth, I would say we should never get into pressure. All the panel members, as we have seen in some movies, 12th fail, etc., they'll try to intimidate us. They'll try to put us in pressure to check whether this officer can sustain pressure, whether this candidate, when he becomes an officer, can sustain pressure. If we are able to maintain our calm composure irrespective of the pressure, even if we don't answer majority of the questions, we will get really good marks. Interview is not about our knowledge, it's more about our personality. So our personality will come out when we try to answer a question. Whether we are trying to fool the interviewer by answering a related kind of answer, those things they'll definitely catch us. So interview, we should never fake it. We should only try to show our personality to the best that we can. And this is how I understood interview.
ವಂಡರ್ಫುಲ್. ಸೊ ತೇಜಸ್, ಇನ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ 2 ಬಾರಿ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ನಿಮಗೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಗದೆ ಇರೋದಕ್ಕೂ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಗೋದಕ್ಕೂ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಬೋತ್ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ 2 ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ಆಗಿರೋದಕ್ಕೂ, ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಥಿಂಕ್ ದಟ್ ಡಿಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂ ವಿಚ್ ವರ್ಕ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್?
I think in my first interview, I went with the approach of it's a talking game. So I have to talk ಮಾಡಬೇಕು that and I thought it's just general thing. I don't have to prepare, practice ಮಾಡೋದು ಬೇಡ. I went with a very ತುಂಬಾ complacent attitude ಇಂದ ಹೋದೆ, and I thought it's a speaking just ನಾವು ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಅಂತ. But I realized, okay, after giving time, okay, after my interview, I got my feedback on interviews and all. So I realized, okay, this is not working. Okay, and after getting feedback from a lot of mentors and all, I realized, okay, this is not really a talking game, but this is a thinking game. One who has a calmer head during the interview, he will able to manage it. So okay, whatever, okay, general curiosity, whatever general characters that is needed from a candidate, I used to follow that. That has become my discipline. That I ensure that I had a calmer head during the interview. I won't talk. I won't force myself to talk. I won't unnecessarily talk. Anyway, when you follow the process, it's anyway it becomes that one won't bluff and all, because there is no point in that. But having a calmer head, being a very thoughtful person helps in expressing oneself. Also react to situation at that instant. I think that change from thinking it a speaking game to a thinking game, that brought a lot of calmness to my mind. that I was able to bring spontaneity to my thoughts. I think that also helped me enjoy the whole process of interview. For example, last interview, I think after the interview, I was sure that that it didn't go well. I had a kind of gut feeling because of how the way I answered. But this year, I totally enjoyed. I think I built a emotional rapport with the with the interviewers, with the board members and all. So we had a jovial conversation and all. I went with attitude. I will have a very
happy time with them and
yeah, have a nice conversation with them, whatever it is. I mean, there's no bluffing and all. That's out of the question. It's just to have a nice conversation. See the best I can do. That's the only thing I can do. The best I can do. So that was my attitude, mindset approach and mindset this time.
ಓಕೆ ರೈಟ್. ಸೊ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂಲಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನೇನೋ ಕೇಳ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಮೆಟ್ಲು ಹತ್ತು ಬಂದ್ರಿ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರು, ಈ ಥರ ರ್ಯಾಂಡಮ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದೆಲ್ಲ ಥಾಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಡಿಡ್ ಯು ಫೇಸ್ ಎನಿ ಸಚ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹೌ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ದಿ ರೋಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಕ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂಸ್ ಇನ್ ಯರ್ process?
So interview random questions can come. For example, one of the candidate was asked why UPSC Bhavan is known as Dholpur out of the box. You might not be prepared. We will be more prepared about detailed application form. Or for me, there was a question about write your experience today in 60 seconds. So
You were made to write.
I was made to write about my experience on that day in 60 seconds.
This was in the second interview?
This was in the second interview.
Wonderful.
Yes,
ಬರೆದ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದಾ?
Yes, sir. My interview was on April 1st, 2024. So I wrote life as on April 1st, 2024. Bypassing fool's day to officer in meeting. Did I succeed? Only time will tell. Did I get fooled? Definitely not. Did I gain anything? Plenty to tell my grandchildren. This was something I wrote.
Amazing. Very, very interesting to hear that. Okay.
So that was one of the reason I got decent marks. 185 was my score. So I would so there might be random questions. I was asked to write. I never expected that they would ask someone to write. So they asked me to write this. So we have to be prepared for all these things. We have to retain our calmness in this. Then I would say we should be very much prepared with our DAF, detailed application form, which we only write and give that we are good in this. My hobby is such thing, and I have achieved so and so thing. So we have to be prepared for all those things, irrespective of what. Then also we should see interview as an opportunity to interact with some of the eminent minds in the country. Those are the people who have around probably 30 plus years of experience, and also are probably who are people who have taken some of the important decisions that might have changed the direction of the country. So interview, we should use it as a process that we have gotten the opportunity at such a young age to interact with some of the eminent minds. So this will give us some confidence that okay, we might be a little worth it, that we have been called for the interview. So use it as an opportunity is what I would say.
Wonderful. Very nice knowing these things. So you Ibru kuda having gone through 2 interviews, in case of forest service and intro kuda, if there is one question that you will remember for a lifetime, right? Idondu question and kelidru. Any such question, Thejas? Very interesting question. There may be too many. Anyone?
Rather one question, I think I felt enjoying the conversation itself. There is talking to them. Like there was a conversation with respect to movies, with respect to what kind of movies. I think the whole conversation, whole process. I think I enjoyed the whole process rather than any one question.
Okay. Nimmalli athara enadru any one particular idea?
So the one they asked me to write, that was one of the questions I would remember.
You had not expected that at all.
I never expected it. They just out of the box they asked me to. They didn't even give. They were even counting 25, 26, 27 seconds over, 35 seconds over, 40 seconds. So that was one of the questions.
And I'm sure you would have definitely not prepared for anything as such.
I was not prepared. And they also said 60 seconds over, you have to stop writing. They said 2-3 times. So that was one of the questions which I think was out of the box, and I also enjoyed that. And they also, I think, they laughed a bit.
So if I can ask you to repeat that lines that you write, because it was very interesting for the viewers as such.
So since it was April 1st, suddenly I understood that it was April Fool's Day. So I said, I wrote life as on April 1st, 2024. Bypassing full stay to officer in making. Did I succeed? Only time will tell. Did I get fooled? Definitely not. Did I gain anything? Plenty to tell my grandchildren. And the panelist who asked this question, he said, after you clear the exam, write it in a newspaper, these quotes, so that I'll get to know that you cleared this exam.
So wonderful. So probably this interview is something that should go viral, and this thought should go viral. So it should reach that panel member who asked this particular question. And so very, very thought-provoking in sense that ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಪದಗಳನ್ನು ನೆನೆಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀವು ಬರೆಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ವಾಸ್ ಪೊಯಟ್ರಿ ಎನಿ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಹಾಬಿ? ಅಂಡ್ ಸಮಟೈಮ್ ಯು
I had written that I would write short write-up based on my experience.
Acha, wonderful. Okay.
So they said, okay, let me. They might have thought, let me check whether he will definitely, yes, this hobby definitely he would pursue, or he just randomly wrote it. Probably that's what I think.
Okay.
But I never thought that they would expect me to write it on spot.
Okay, very nice. So ನಿಮ್ಮ hobbies ಅಲ್ಲಿ movies is one of your hobby. So any questions specific to movies?
Yeah, questions specific to movies. ಯಾವ ತರ ಮೂವೀಸ್ ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ?
Okay.
ಅಂದ್ರೆ why do you watch this kind of movies? And ಈ ತರ ಮೂವೀಸ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಓಕೆ ನಾವು ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಮೂವೀಸ್ ಅಂತ ಆಯ್ತು. ಸೊ ಓಕೆ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿರೋ ಸಿನಿಮಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ತರ ಸಿನಿಮಾಸ್ ಇದೆ? So it was I won't say I never went with the questions ತರ never went with the approach as question answer. So I never remember it as a question answer. I remember it as whole conversation itself. Okay, general conversation, candid conversation. Okay, movies okay, ಹಿಂಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಯ್ತು. I think I enjoyed the whole process about movies because I'm also very much into the movies. I totally enjoyed talking about the movies.
Wonderful. Okay, so interview wise specifically to all the youngsters who are looking at preparation and who are looking at prelims, mains, interview wise ನೀವು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂದ ಹೇಗೆ ನೋಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಸಜೆಷನ್ ಆಸ್ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ಫುಲ್ ಆಸ್ಪಿರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ವಾಟ್ ವುಡ್ ಬಿ ದಿ ಸಜೆಷನ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ವುಡ್ ಗಿವ್?
I think don't get influenced by the YouTube mock interviews. I think those are very much out of tune with what the actual interview goes. So that actually ನೋಡ್ತೀನಲ್ಲ that comments ಅಲ್ಲಾಗಲಿ YouTube comments ಅಲ್ಲಾಗಲಿ they get freaked out, like they go with a different mindset how with this interview. I think don't get influenced at all, just watch it for fun, but go enjoy the whole interview.
Okay, so don't get influenced by the YouTube mock interviews, go enjoy your process. Okay, yes, Rakshit.
I would say retain your personality, and out of the box questions will come, and if you are good at it, express it, or if you are not so comfortable, convey it clearly, and don't think that the interviewers are there to put you down, because they also know that the process is very hard and people and candidates have struggled really hard to come till the interview. So they also will be sympathetic to you. So we have to retain our personality. That will give us more marks than trying to answer every question or copy what, as you said, YouTube interviews. That I would say.
Wonderful. So since both of you have just mentioned YouTube, one question there is, how close is the real interview to what comes on YouTube? Allu kuda officers ತಗೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಕೆಲವರು ಸರ್ವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಆಸ್ಪಿರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ತಗೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. Is it 80% close? Is it 50%? Is it just 20% or nothing? In numbers?
Numbers, I would say 40%.
40%.
There are so many interviews which are not put into YouTube, which are fairly close. One was done at the IAS Officers Association, probably by India for IAS. That was relatively close by, done by Thejas, sir.
Wonderful.
But other interviews which I have seen, my experience is 40% close, not more than that.
Okay, Thejas, how close?
As is just YouTube mock interviews?
YouTube mock interviews.
I think 20 to 30% on the basics of the ability to maintain the composure and but it totally depends on the day, how you manage the things. I think 20 to 30%.
Okay, wonderful. So at India for IAS, we have this ethic that we have till date maintained, that without asking the aspirant, we don't put out their interviews, or we till date have not started putting out the interviews as well. So probably if you permit and if you say it's much closer, then we will think of getting your interview so that one can understand how a real interview can face. That's something we'll definitely do. So finally, to the idea of preparation and all that ನೋಡಿದಾಗ we would want to take a very small fun round in terms to say ಒಬ್ಬ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ಫುಲ್ ಆಗಿರೋ ಆಸ್ಪಿರೆಂಟು ಕೂಡ ಹೇಗೆ ರಿಯಲ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಯಾವ ಥರ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಇಬ್ಬರು ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ನಾನು ಕೆಲವು ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಇಬ್ಬರು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಚಾಯ್ಸಸ್ಸನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗಿ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ. ಸೊ ಆ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಾಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಐಡಿಯಾಸು ಕೂಡ ಒಬ್ಬ ಆಸ್ಪಿರೆಂಟ್ಗಾಗ್ಬೋದು, ಯಾರೇ ನೋಡೋರ್ಗಾಗಲಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. ಸೊ ಒಂದು 4-5 ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಿಕ್ ರನ್ ಥ್ರೂ ಅಂತ ತಗೋಣ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ IAS, IPS.
IAS.
IAS or IPS.
IAS or IPS. Okay. So foreign service, yes, no.
No.
Yes.
Yes. No, yake?
I want to work majorly in India. That's simple. But
Okay.
I would, there will be opportunity for me also if I become IAS officer to work abroad. But majorly I am more about, as I said, I have to work in Tier 2. So that's in India.
Okay. So IAS Karnataka cadre or any service anywhere?
IAS Karnataka.
IAS Karnataka. Yes.
Wherever the opportunity is good.
Wherever the opportunity is good. Okay. So since both of you have some touch with the private sector also, consultancies and then nodi ನೀವು very good paying private sector job, decent paying public sector job.
Public sector job, I would say, I had decided that government's work is God's work.
Okay, wonderful. Okay.
I think job satisfaction, like wherever one finds it.
Job satisfaction wherever one finds it. Very nice. Okay. So specific that since you have shown interest in civil services and other fields also, if not a civil servant, where would have you loved to be?
Entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur. Neevu.
I think working as a policy consultant.
Policy consultant. Wonderful. So that was also a core area that you were working in. Okay. So both of you have interest on movies. Bollywood or Kannada movies?
I don't watch movies.
You don't watch movies at all on this. Okay. Neevu?
I think I'm a believer in Kuvempu's Vishwamanava, so so I think world movies.
Diplomatic answer. Okay, right. Your favorite movie, Thejas?
In recent times,
Yeah.
there's a French movie called Anatomy of a Fall. That I
Okay, right. Great. Okay. Old movies, hale movies or
there's a one Swedish movie called Wild Strawberries that I enjoyed a lot.
ಓ ಇದು ಯಾಕೋ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮೇಲೆ ಮೇಲೆನೇ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ನೀವು ಮೂವೀಸೇ ನೋಡಲ್ವಾ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ?
ನಾನು ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗಿ ನೋಡಲ್ಲ.
ಓಕೆ, ನೋಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫೇವ್ರೆಟ್ ಮೂವಿ ಏನದಾದ್ರೆ? ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಮೂವಿ ಅದು ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ.
ನಂಗೆ ಮೂವಿ ಜ್ಞಾಪಕಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಓಕೆ, ಫೇವ್ರೆಟ್ ಹೀರೋ?
ಫೇವ್ರೆಟ್ ಹೀರೋ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರಾಜ್ಕುಮಾರ್.
ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರಾಜ್ಕುಮಾರ್.
I never saw a hero. I watched it for a director.
Okay. Any favorite director?
Richard Linklater.
ಇಂಡಿಯಾದವ್ರು ಯಾರಾದ್ರು?
Wish to enjoy. I think. Who directed that movie?
ಮೂವಿ ಹೇಳಿ, ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಹಿಂದಿ, ಕನ್ನಡ?
I think Hindi.
Hindi.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm forgetting the director.
The choice of social media. So social media, distraction, enrichment. Enrichment. Distraction. Okay. Right. So which social media are you part of? Twitter. So Facebook, Insta?
No.
Not much.
No, I'm not social media.
Absolutely no to social media.
Except like few YouTube, something like that.
Okay. So as if your message to youngsters, how to use social media as an aspirant, what would you say?
I think I would say don't use it, like focus.
Don't use social media.
Have a single-minded focus on it.
Okay, great.
I would say there are so many sites, places. For example, Twitter is a place where we get news instantly before even we read it in probably a news app or probably a next day newspaper. So we can use it effectively. That has also helped me in my civil service current affairs preparation. For example, during my interview morning, I just scrolled my Twitter, understood the gist of the news that is prevalent for that day.
Mm-hmm.
So I've used it effectively. And in YouTube, there are so many podcasts. Also, podcasts with Smita Prakash is one podcast which I've seen, which is very enriching. Even the government officers are doing podcasts. So those are very interesting. We can use.
Wonderful. Right. So current affairs and math we missed on current affairs. So current affairs, newspaper, compilations,
Compilation.
Newspaper.
And newspaper.
and newspaper. First preference, compilations.
Compilation, but newspaper we can't ignore, because there will be so many small things which we can use, which will be there in back of our mind, which we can use. But as a gist, it's compilation.
Okay. ನೀವೇನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ?
I think for the first is newspaper for the intellectual curiosity. Second, compilation for the exam purpose.
Compilations for the exam purpose. So compilations
Like,
will help.
first preference is newspaper. That one is to this compilation helps in the revision part.
Okay. Right. YouTube for current affairs. Yes. No.
No.